tank top or shirt of some sort.
Okay, so is it safe to say you're female
No, just a
or male?
tank. That seems to be more male pattern.
Okay, very good. Now go ahead and take a deep breath in and release it. And allow your logical mind to take a break. And allow your subconscious mind to feel the feelings, sound, and images. And I'm going to give you the opportunity to feel and experience yourself in this lifetime very fully. Now, in a moment, there's going to be a mirror that drops down before you. It's a magical mirror. And I want you to look into the mirror and tell me, what do you see? What do you notice about the color of your eyes?
They seem to be like a hazel color, green and brown.
Okay. And what kind of hair do you have? Is it long or short?
It's fairly short, kind of tightly knit curls. Almost not quite like an afro, but just fairly tightly curled, medium length hair, medium to short.
Okay. Okay. Is it safe? Do you look similar to what you do now, or different?
Younger.
Okay.
Yeah, more tan. Seemingly someone who's spending more time in the sunshine.
Okay. And how old do you feel?
So between like 14, 16.
Okay. And go ahead and give yourself permission to move through anything that isn't clear to you. Can you take a deep breath in, please? Good. And just allow everything to flow to you. Your subconscious will release those memories. What year is this lifetime?
Feels like somewhere late 1800s, early 1900s.
Very good. What is your name?
Isaac comes to mind first.
Okay. Very good, Isaac. What is your last name?
His name's harder to draw on. Johnson or something kind of generic there and comes up.
Very good. Just allow yourself permission. Give yourself permission to move through that. And in a moment, I'm going to fuse your lifetimes together. The life of son Ryan and the life of Isaac right now. And there will be no separation of lifetimes. You'll feel everything. You'll have all the feelings, emotions, and thoughts you had in this lifetime in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, now. And how do you feel, Isaac?
So degree of uncertainty, some shift of routine or practice that feels like a season end or a sensation of moving on to something else.
Okay. Where do you live, Isaac? Do you know what city or state or country you live in?
It's like basically America, the southern states, and the southeastern. Not quite deep
Okay.
south, but somewhere coastal, a little more rural and swampy, humid.
Okay. And look around. Tell me, do you notice anyone in the area at all? Is there any people around?
And there seems like family members uh, working in and around the homestead, the area that I can see.
Okay. And do you get a sense that any of those people that you see are connected to you in this lifetime, your current lifetime? What do you get the sense of?
Not so immediate of any people's. Feels like there are connections, people that I've met or had experience with for brief exchanges in this life that were more important in uh, Isaac's
Okay.
lifetime.
Now I want you to move to your home in this lifetime of Isaac in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, and tell me, what does it look like?
So, it's actually 2 floors. It seems like it's been repurposed, perhaps a home that was designed by someone else, but that our family moved into. And we don't use all of the
Mhm.
rooms in the house. Some of them are for storage, and others are left alone for whatever reason. But we predominantly keep to kind of a living room area and a few bedrooms in the kitchen, which are all on the first floor.
Mm. Hmm. Sounds interesting. Is it, what color is your house?
It's off whitish gray, maybe at one point more white, but they're blue, with navyish blue shutters and uh, trim along the house. But we spend time cleaning and tending to it. It just over years seems to have grown a little dull. Some of the white and even the vibrancy of the blue. Seems like an older house.
Okay. So it's an older house for your time period.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Now, what do you do? You're a young man. Do you attend school?
No, just predominantly working. I was schooling younger, but
Okay.
seems like a transitional time of moving into more familiar responsibility.
Okay. What does your family do for work?
So, tending the land, there's kind of an indentured uh, sharecropping like mentality where we're not directly being oversawn by any force or corporation or people, but ultimately the land and the yield of any crops was not ours alone.
Okay. And let's go ahead. Are you inside or outside of your home?
On the porch and between both.
Let's go explore inside and tell me what you see.
See, it's a couch, sort of a lounge seat. It looks probably one of the newest things in the space, and an old kind of almost, let's say, oriental rug of some kind. The space is set up so that a rocking chair faces the couch. You can walk directly through from the front door towards the kitchen. And there are
Wow.
just exactly pictures, but images on the walls, some of them paintings, some of them just notes and key rings. There seem to be a few pictures, kind of very old looking, I guess relatively manila colored images, dour faced people.
Wow. What does the kitchen look like?
There's a sort of wraparound, an old deep sink basin on the left when you turn, and a little island that sits in the middle of it. And it's actually large, if not larger than the living area. Lots of cabinets. It's very clean, kempt, perhaps less trafficked than the living area. Lots of jars
Wow.
full of herbs and grains of different sort.
Let's go find your bedroom. Tell me what it looks like.
From the kitchen, there's a way to come out to a back hall, far right end of the kitchen, that brings you kind of underneath the stairwell that is accessible through the living area. And below that stairwell, there's 3 bedrooms. One's very small, almost like closet-ish room, and the other 2 are moderately sized. It seems like siblings share those bedrooms. I have 3 siblings, and the littlest ones share one bedroom. And I used to share a bedroom with my younger sister, but now she stays with the kids, and I have a room to myself.
Okay, very nice.
It's plain.
Now I want to. It's plain.
Yeah, it's a bed, poster of some sorts. It's like an old sports flyer or something. Dresser.
Very
small-
good. Very good. Now I'm going to move you to a significant time within this lifetime, and we're going to go there in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, and tell me what is happening. What do you see?
It seems like some kind of tragedy or impactful effect. It's like evening time, but the sky is all lit up with fires, like somebody set fire to the fields, and there's some kind of scuffle or disagreement. It seems like a night of kind of odd doings where there was some argument or something before, and with one of the other farmers or sharecroppers, and in spite, someone set fire to the fields and trying to find the rest of the family, but they're all scattered out, either amongst the house or the fields.
Do you know why they set fire to the farm?
Seems like they were having much more yield and kind of outputting more than expected, and therefore diminishing the value of a given crop for the rest of the sharecroppers. And so it would impact the community's general monetary gain, whereas our family would be better off for it. So it seems like it's not my father, my uncle. My father doesn't seem to be around, but my uncle or whoever is the kind of grandmother and my uncle making decisions for the family. said that it would be good if we just kept the crop, but after arguing with the rest of the community, someone decided to take action and burn the excess.
Oh, wow. Who are these people in the community? Are they, is it racially inspired?
It does seem to be mixed, predominantly melanated sharecroppers, but there are a few poor Anglo families as well who, though don't have as much of an impact on the community. There's some owners of the land who come during the cooler months and have a greater affinity for people of a similar skin tone and background. So even though this smaller family is as impoverished, if not more so, doesn't have much say most of the year, they feel themselves entitled. It's kind of unknown who exactly set fire to the crops, but some of the fighting and the argument came from that family.
Okay. And what does this mean for your family now that they set fire to the crops?
Seems like my sister was injured, which would affect our ability to harvest even the remaining crop, and also that more was lost than whoever had lit it was meaning to. So, mean that we could lose the land, lose the house, since we didn't perform adequately by tending and taking care of it.
Okay. Now I want you to repeat after me. Any experience in this lifetime
Any experience in this lifetime
when it comes to loss,
when it comes to loss,
jealousy,
and
and contentions with neighbors,
contentions with neighbors,
and loss or grief and trauma,
loss or grief, trauma,
and any other negative emotions,
any other negative emotions,
I release in this lifetime.
I release in this lifetime.
I will no longer carry any baggage from this lifetime.
I will no longer carry any baggage from this lifetime.
I have learned my lesson.
I've learned my lesson.
I'm ready to move on.
I'm ready to move on.
And so it is. And when I snap my fingers once more, you will release anything from this situation, from this lifetime. You will not carry this in your current lifetime as Sun Ryan. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, now. Now, Sun, I want you to forward. We're going to advance a little bit. Maybe 6 months after this tragedy. And I want you to tell me what is happening. What is going on?
So my family, sister, little siblings, my grandmother had to be relocated after damage that the fire had done. I took a job on another family's plot to help them with the harvest to make something. But somewhere I was so frustrated and angry at what I was sure was the Anglo family's choice to burn the crops. Though I had no evidence, I just knew it somewhere based on what they said and how much hatred they had, and I guess my own hatred for those that had us in that position in the first place. Wanted revenge.
Understand. Okay. All right. So you have this anger, but is the job you're helping your family at all?
It is somewhat, though it hurts them
Okay.
to be away. They wanted me to go with them to stay with family elsewhere, but something about it not being lucrative anyway.
Okay. And I want you to repeat after me. I am willing to let go.
I'm willing to let go.
I release.
I release.
I let go.
Let go.
I release all tension,
Release all
anger,
tension,
and fear.
anger, and fear.
I release all sadness,
Release all sadness.
I let go of all the old limitations.
I let go of all the old limitations.
I let go and I am at peace.
And let go, and I am at peace.
I'm at peace with myself.
I'm at peace with myself.
And at peace with everyone else.
And at peace with everyone else.
I'm at peace with the process of life.
I'm at peace with the process of life.
I am safe.
I am safe.
My family is safe.
My family is safe.
And so it is. Now, son, I want to move you to another significant time in this lifetime. And we're going to move you there in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, now. And tell me, what is happening and what do you see?
See a much more bustling city. More people, the attire is different. It seems like some years later, after having worked to relocate my family and offer them a better life, we have a plan to move to Canada, and get some land, and start up our business again, holding space, maybe having sharecropping for others that they can afford a new opportunity, working with some business partner who has helped get loans and the necessary paperwork to make such a big move. Someone whom I've grown very close to.
Very good. How old are you now?
This will be a decade later, 26, 7.
Okay. And where did you relocate to? What city?
Seems like we were in Carolinas of some sort. I moved somewhere like Philadelphia or somewhere a little further northwest. Just a little bit more north.
Okay. And so is your family doing much better now then?
My grandma had passed away at that point. My sisters had taken jobs in different capacities, seamstress, and some kind of delivery position for my younger brother. We almost all live in the city now. We have 2 apartments, one that they live in, and one that I stay in with my partner. Doesn't seem to be my wife yet, but my long-term relationship.
What's her name?
So with an R, Rosa.
Rosa?
Rosalind, or something of the sort.
Rosalind? Is she there? I want you to look at her eyes and tell me if you have a connection in this lifetime with her.
So, you know,
Say that again?
reminds me of my aunt. Reminds me of like someone
Oh, you're
maternal. Not exactly my son Ryan's aunt in this lifetime. There's not a lot of.
so she was
It's like I helped her out at one point, and she just started staying with me, and we had more of a intimate relationship in terms of sharing our beingness rather than so much physicality. Because of her circumstances, it wasn't to be so an intimate interaction, but it's a lot of inspiration and encouragement there.
very good. So are you attached to her emotionally? Do you love her?
Just love and care for her, but there's something of, it's almost like I have a different idea in this life of how one should be with another person, and she has very different liberal ideas of such, where we haven't been more than just very intimate partners rather than lovers or anything of the sort. She seems that she wants something that I can't quite offer.
So explain your ideas of a relationship. So you're not into marriage. Explain your view and her view.
In this lifetime, it seems that that is the view of getting married and having her move with us to where we're to move in Canada, somewhere in Ontario, not too far off the border. But she doesn't want to leave. She's from the city and intends to stay there, and even though she appreciates the help and the care and consideration that's been offered to her, she's looking for something else.
Okay. And how do you feel about that?
It's disheartening, but I think there's enough care and appreciation of this person that it's understandable. And that ultimately, it seems like family is very important, making sure that they're safe. And it's kind of this mentality of putting my own desires aside to some degree for the benefit of others.
Interesting.
Some guilt around actions taken in the past, not being responsible enough, especially that fire.
You have guilt?
There's some remaining guilt about things that happened years ago.
Okay. Very good. Now I want you to move to your next significant lifetime. And we're going to, in a significant time in the life of Isaac, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, now. And tell me what is happening and what do you see?
I see myself much older. It seems like
How old are you?
it's like in my 60s. It's been quite some time establishing the homestead and building the house and the land. I saw my sisters and brother live there for a time, work the land with me to set up things, but eventually I hired others and was able to create space for people who wanted to leave their situations to come and work. Eventually my family kind of married off or moved on in their own regard. It seems like I eventually got married to a different woman, and we spend our lives
And what's your
enjoying.
life with her like?
Not as exciting as many ups and downs as living in the city with Rosa, but more consistent. She's of a similar background, and her family also worked fields, and she grew up in a similar community. It's much more of a knowing of each other easily, but at the same time less imaginative or romantic engagements.
Okay. I want you to look her in the eyes. Do you have a current life connection with her?
Not that I currently know.
Okay. Very good. Do you have children?
We do. We have 3 children,
How
three
many?
daughters, and a son.
Very
Son is the
good.
oldest, and the 2 daughters are not too far apart in age, 3 or 4 years.
What are their names?
Son's name is Simon. The youngest daughter we named Rose. And Meredith is the middle daughter, named after her mother.
Okay. Very good. Do you have a connection with either of your children in this current life?
Seems like Rose reminds me of my mother in this life. The other 2,
Okay.
Simon reminds me of my uncle in this life. My uncle Rene. He's kind of impetuous and not exactly following in line, whereas I felt like I sacrificed so much for family and making a better life, and he wants to just go to the city and enjoy himself, indulge. And
Mhm.
Meredith, Meredith, not exactly. She reminds me of a few people, but no one of them so directly.
Okay. Very good. So you made a very good life for yourself. Even with the ups and downs, you made a pretty good life, right?
I'd say so.
Now I want to move you to the death of this current life that you're in. And we're going to be there in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now. And tell me what is happening. What do you see?
Like a hospital, took a fall, something of the sort, trying to maneuver the stairs of the house, and found some other issue with heart, where there was already some issue. And it seems like people have come to visit and come and gone. But in that moment of transition, there's no one there. The nurse comes in for a moment and checks things to make sure everything's all right, and it seems to be so. And as she leaves, just kind of look out the window and close my eyes, quietly fade.
How old were you at their death?
72.
72. And I want you to think about the lessons you learned for this lifetime. What were they?
That what's right is has to be reflected on for the individual. I told my son so many times that there was a certain way to do things, and then I expected him to follow in footsteps or feel a sense of responsibility like I did. And I'd wondered if I failed not instilling that in him, but he just had something else that he thought was right for him. And even the upsets of family, thinking that there was supposed to be more for us, and just working the land and being at someone else's dole end up being a gift. Some of the best times of life, where there wasn't so much responsibility in it, just the ability to perform the function. Sometimes it's nice to just be a part of the thing rather than needing to control it or oversee it. So many moving pieces.
What do you think was the purpose of your life in this time?
Surviving, making it through to the next day, and doing my best to protect the legacy of family. But in the end, what that family chose to do with that legacy was their own and not always what I would have decided for them. So somewhere the purpose was to find that appreciation still in contrast. That one might think it's going to be one way, and even though it's another way, it doesn't mean it's bad. There can be enjoyable aspects to everything that unfolds, even the most dire burning of instances.
Very good. Now, I want you to get a sense of whether you have another parallel life or simultaneous life with the same issue that you had in this lifetime. What do you get a sense of? Is there a person or a name of a person that comes to mind?
The name Ishmael comes up.
Say the name again.
Ishmael.
Ishmael. And do you see an image of Ishmael?
See a somewhat older man, grayed haired, looking somewhat bent and worn, but somewhere less humid, drier. Sandaled feet and loose cotton garments. You can feel the breeze blowing dry air.
Where does Ishmael live?
Seems like somewhere arid and quite a deep desert, but the fringes of such. There's some vegetation, but far and few and very dusty and dry. Mountains in the distance.
All right. I want you to repeat after me for the simultaneous life of Ishmael. I want you to, any experience in the lifetime of Ishmael when it comes to anger, sadness, grief, contentions, any negative emotions. Repeat after me. Any experience in the lifetime of Ishmael when it comes to sadness, anger, grief.
Experience as it comes in the lifetime of Ishmael with regards to sadness, anger, grief,
Guilt,
guilt,
or any other negative emotions.
any other negative emotions.
I release in this lifetime.
And release in this lifetime.
I will no longer carry any baggage from this life.
No longer carry any baggage from this life.
I have learned my lesson from this lifetime and I'm ready to move on.
I've learned my lessons from this lifetime and I'm ready to move on.
And any karmic ties that I have with this soul, Ishmael, I release into the universe.
And any karmic ties I have to the soul, Ishmael, I release into the universe.
I will only accept loving soul ties in this life of Ishmael and Isaac or any other lifetime afterwards.
Only accept loving karmic ties in this lifetime of Ishmael or Isaac or any other karmic connections to these lives.
And so it is. Very good. Now we're going to move you to another significant life that will assist you with understanding your current situation and healing any situations in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, tell me, what do you see? What is happening?
See, it seems like a city street. It's raining, cars beeping and honking, probably circa 40s or 50s. If I look down at shoes seem wetted by all the rain, but some kind of glossy leather shoes, dress pants. Though having an umbrella doesn't seem to be stopping much of the rain. You can feel the dampness. Lights of city street lights speckled with water.
Do you feel like a male or a female in this life?
Or male in this lifetime.
Okay. Very good. What is your name?
Corey.
Corey?
Corey.
Cole. Is that right?
Corey.
Corey. Okay. And Corey, what is your last name?
Moreno.
Very good. What's your body size?
So, I suppose a little shorter of a build, something like 5'6", 5'5", really weighing 140, 50 pounds, somewhat thin. The suit that's being worn is a little big for my frame.
Okay.
Not so much so that I'm
Very
swimming
good.
in it.
Now, when I snap my fingers, you'll feel everything in the life of Corey. All the thoughts, emotions, and feelings from this life of Corey will be fused with your life in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now you will feel all of the emotions and thoughts of this lifetime. How are you feeling, Corey?
I feel like I'm putting on a good face, like things underlying are challenging or uncertain, but I'm really good about putting on a smile and acting like it's all right. Scott,
How old are you?
late 20s, early 30s, so 31.
And you have a feeling of uncertainty.
I feel like I don't know which direction. I've done a bunch of job sales and tried hand communication jobs and even journalism. Any of these things haven't panned out. Made most money, if not all of it, the last couple of years in gambling. There's lots of debts, and even though I feel like I've gotten out of a hole before, I wonder if this one's dug too deep.
Hmm. What happened? What did you do to lose your money this time?
Just made some poor bets. Took money that I didn't have and gave it away in the hopes that it would return back. But no dice. And now, near penniless and on cold, rainy streets, trying to find a lick of positive outcome and all of it. I have a friend, associate, who has let me stay at the place a few times, but makes me feel ashamed. It's a woman I find especially beautiful and attractive. I feel like it's a
Okay.
shameful position to not have anything to offer or court her with, or even just to take care of myself.
All right. What city do you live in?
It's like Chicago, or a larger city. It's like Chicago or something like this.
Okay. So currently you're living with a young lady that you were talking about? Is that right?
I stay at her place on the occasion. Sometimes I just pass out at bars and find my way somewhat comfortable on the street, or occasionally can get a good enough of a run to stay at a casino all through the night, catching a few winks in the bathroom here and there. She'll let me stay occasionally when she doesn't have other plans or doings, but I try not to overstay my welcome.
Okay. What's her name?
Delilah.
Delilah. Can you look at Delilah's eyes and see if you have a current life connection with her?
Yeah, it's my current partner.
All right. Do you have feelings for Delilah?
Very much so.
Okay. Very good. Now, I want you to take you to the next significant time in the life of Corey in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now. And what is happening? What do you see?
I've been kept in some little boiler roomy spot. I was told I could clear up some of my debts if I met a guy here, but it was a trick just to get me into a location. There's been guys asking me about my doings and if I have money to repay them. I've done some slapping around here and there, but for the most part, I'm intact. And besides scared and a little shaky, I'm okay. Some other guy comes in and offers a cigarette and tells me that he's got a job. If I do this job, he'll make a lot of his debts go away. Something that's dangerous, illegal.
Okay. Look them in the eyes, and do you have any connections to them in this current life?
A hard time looking at his eyes. He's wearing
Okay.
glasses or
What do you
something of the
sense?
sort. Sense familiarity.
What do you sense?
Yeah, there's what I feel like this person exists in Sun's lifetime, so as a much more subtle influence, not such a crossroads moment. This person comes and goes rather than offers such an ultimatum. So even though the energy seems familiar, the way it's presented is very different. It's hard for me to determine.
Okay. Very good. Now, what does the guy want you to do to clear up your debt?
It's me to transport something in a briefcase. Says I have to travel to Europe, which is strange. I've never been to Europe, but so they'll get a passport and get me all squared away to drop off this package. It's the place of destination that comes to mind is Zurich.
Zurich, okay. And are you going to do it?
I don't feel like I have a choice. I imagine it's
Okay.
dangerous, but it seems like a way out.
All right. Well, let's forward you to the time when you're traveling to Zurich in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, what is happening and what do you see?
It seems like I made it, took the flight, got to Europe successfully without too much trouble, but on a train traveling, I guess, to the city, there seems to be some kind of routine inspection going on. They think that there may be some contraband. And I get nervous, and begin to fidget and try to grab my case and move quickly. And I'm chased, yelled at in another language that I barely understand. And tackled, arrested, and suitcases confiscated. And I think about Delilah and how I might not make it back.
So you're in jail now?
And they put me in jail and have to get a translator because I don't understand the questions.
And what do they say once they get the translator?
I tell them it's a misunderstanding, a mistake. I didn't know what it was, but apparently it was something very dangerous, a bomb or means of developing such. And they say it's a form of high crime, something that a person could be put to death for, or at least incarcerated indefinitely. I say I don't have much choice but to tell them who had me send it, and I don't know, so I can't tell them much, and I think I'm lying. So they put me in jail, and every once in a while, after a few weeks or so, they ask me again. I have nothing more to tell them. Can't even come up with good lies that would make any sense.
Okay. Now I want to forward you to the death of your life as Corey and tell me what is happening and what do you see?
Based on the time the prison gets overtaken by some governmental agency, and they have to clear out the prisons. Some of the inmates are moved to a different area, and many more are brought in. But those that, for no discernible reason, are there are put on firing squads, and removed and dumped in large open pits of unmarked graves. The last image of Corey is a cigarette between his mouth, blindfolded, You hear someone try to run as the shots ring out. Again, thinks of Delilah as he slowly fades away.
Now I want you to repeat after me. Any experience in the lifetime of Corey
The experience in the lifetime of Corey,
when it comes to uncertainty, being ashamed,
when it comes to uncertainty or being ashamed,
issues with lack and homelessness,
issues with lack and homelessness,
fear,
fear,
and any other negative emotion when it in this lifetime of Corey.
In this lifetime of Corey,
I release in this lifetime.
I release in this lifetime.
I will no longer carry any baggage from this life.
I will no longer carry any baggage from this life.
I have learned my lesson from this lifetime.
I have learned my lesson from this lifetime.
I'm ready to move on.
I'm ready to move on.
And so it is.
So,
Repeat after me. Any karmic ties that I have with this soul, Corey,
the karmic ties I have with this soul, Corey,
I release into the universe.
release into the universe.
I will only accept loving soul ties in this lifetime.
I will only accept loving soul ties in this lifetime.
And any other lifetimes afterwards.
And any other lifetimes afterwards.
And so it is. Repeat after me one more time, son. I am willing to let go.
I am willing to let go.
I release.
I release.
I let go.
I let go.
I release all tension and fear.
I release all tension and fear.
I release all anger and guilt.
I release all anger and guilt.
I release all sadness.
I release all sadness.
I let go of all the old limitations.
I let go of all the old limitations.
I let go and I'm at peace.
I let go and I'm at peace.
I am at peace with the process of life.
I'm at peace with the process of life.
I am safe.
I'm safe.
Now, son, I want you to tell me what was the purpose or what was the lessons that you were supposed to learn in that lifetime?
Corey didn't have any connection to his inner wisdom or trusting himself. Did and said whatever he had to get what he felt like he wanted, rather than learning to appreciate the rightness to the path that actually served. If he loved Delilah and wanted to be there with her, why was he running away? Why was he trying to make big instead of just appreciating that he had that company and that connection? Didn't feel like he was worthy, and thus he wasn't worthy, rather than appreciating his worth. So the purpose is to appreciate the worth of life and all of its facets.
And what was his purpose? What was Corey's purpose?
Corey's purpose. There's a lot of contrast. He was put upon by various people, and part of his purpose was to discover what his own worth and desires of life were, not just those that were pushed upon him. He thought lots of money and would do whatever he had to get it. He thought the risks would be worth it in the end, and ultimately they were just that, risks. He didn't have any grand design behind them. And maybe if they had, they would have yielded better results. He was just trying to survive, but be abundant in his survival rather than thrive and be prosperous and not thriving.
Very good. Now, I want you to allow yourself to leave that, rise above that body, and we're going to go into spirit world and follow that light that all souls follow. And when you arrive at the entrance of spirit world, let me know by saying yes.
Yes.
And who's there to greet you?
It's a dark-skinned woman wearing all white. I guess some sort of angel, I had to say.
Ask her who she is.
She says her name is Mott. She's goddess of balance and justice.
And ask her, is there a message she has for you?
She reminds me of the importance of a light and gilded heart, and that to truly access the realms of spirit, the underworld and beyond, one has to have their heart be as light as a feather, not weighed down by the past or the imaginings of the mind.
I want you to ask her how you can fully connect to spirit world.
She says that's kind of a trick.
In a greater capacity.
She says it's always connected, and that the recognition of that connection, even in the most mundial of processes, allows for more of that magic, more of that inspiration, insight. Taking time to deliberately, conscientiously approach spirit, whether through prayer or meditation or spell work, what have you. All those things, though none specifically necessary, allow for a bridge of otherworldliness to be accessed. And then from there, the otherworldliness appears all the time, because it's there all the time.
Very good. Ask her what spiritual gifts you should be working to strengthen for your work here.
She tells me that the way of considering visualization has been a little skewed, and that somewhere we find or feel that we're building images, piecing things together based on our will or our consciousness. She says that it's more like tuning in to a frequency. Like the radio doesn't have to build the radio station to pick up a signal. It needs that station. And somewhere out there, that signal is being emitted, but all it has to do is line up with that signal and allow it to present itself. So she says that that practice of visualization and creating the imagery within is more so creating the space for that imagery so that it can be accessed in the full divine capacity that it already exists in vibrational.
I want you to ask her what magic spells, rituals, and incantations can best serve you.
It's just the practice of gazing, divination is helpful, focusing on the opening and channeling of imagery instead of trying to conjure it or think it up so hard. Sitting and staring at the pool of water or the crystal ball, even if just to stare at it with the intention of being open, often yields insight and inspiration. Other spells or money spells that have been prepared would be beneficial. However, they have to be appreciated as a sign of abundance in and of themselves rather than just a means to attract further abundance. She says that the magic and the spell work are an art form more than an exact science. And if a person isn't playing with it and having fun with it, then it won't really serve in the same way.
Ask her how you can have fun with it, because this is something you're working on in your life.
She says exemplifying that I already have fun with it to some degree, but sometimes I associate it with work, or need to be, or rather than the enjoyment of playing with the ability to create, that I understand in mind those abilities, but the application of them through magic or spiritual means sometimes is trained out. Many people think action is key, and so somewhere subtly action is needed. But that by playing and letting a spontaneous action come about, real effect and impact can be made. It simply needs to be explored further, and that the momentums that already exist are caught up to speed with.
I want you to ask her what your connection to her is.
She says that in some of my forms, I am her partner, that I come here as a condensation of her domains of balance and contrast and justice have been much of what this life of Sun Ryan has been weaved around, the this and that of life, and that I can work with her more directly to move beyond the idea of this and that or duality, because she both represents duality and its absolution.
Ask her how other people could connect with her more fully too.
She says understanding the principles, that her admonishments, the negations, thou shalt not, is thou has not, and by recognizing the negations in one's life, they can transmute their karmic involvement in their given lifetime or even past lifetimes for the absolute spiritual wholeness that is their soul in the ever-present now. That clearing those karmic associations of past deeds misdone or even strivings from a human standpoint, by just softening on those and recognizing that the soul, though observing and experiencing these things, never is tainted by them or tarnished. Now, by connecting to that place, one moves closer to the rightness, righteousness, true rightness. She wants all of us to move beyond balance, to know the pendulum swing well enough that we can choose which direction we want to go with it, rather than that we're stuck between this and that.
And also, I want you to ask her, is there any specific spirit beings that you should be communing with?
There are already deities known that are to be worked with in continuum. But one of the spirits that comes up is Dracula, the concept of a dark prince, an energy that is, from others' perspective, draining, but unto itself is sustaining and everlasting. And how does that being evolve from itself? How does something monstrous or demonic evolve to another state of being? And how does something angelic descend and lose itself in the physicality and existing between those states? There is a lighter spirit to contrast that Dracula concept, but first the dark has to be explored before the light reveals itself.
And what would be the light spirit that he would work with once he understands that dark energy?
It seems like the contrast is Gabriel, is the archangel and its quorums. There may be specific angels that are encapsulated in that, but Gabriel and the light there in contrast is what comes to mind.
Very good. Ask her what connections you and I have with her, if there are any connections we've all had together.
There was a time when people engaged her most directly when she was given the name Ma'at, and though through various permutations that she is known before that time and after, people continue to work with her. For son and herself, there's a notion of priesthood and study of such from a spiritual scientific perspective in the times of Kem, the ancient Egyptians, in various places throughout those varied dynasties. But that Ma'at balance has been a continuing conceptualization throughout that spiritual knowing. And to engage Ma'at is to learn and remind ourselves of those spiritual systems that have been set forth by our ancestors.
So ask her, since she wants to help humankind remove the karma that we have, would this method of quantum healing that you are experiencing today be an effective method, or is there another method?
She says the karma is necessary, but only on a certain level, and that people get caught in cycles of their karma. They get magnetized towards them, and what happens is, instead of focusing on this and that as a continuum, they get focused on this, 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 and it seems like that's all there is this. And sometimes they see the other side of that, but that's still caught in the cycle. And she says that the goal for humanity is to have light hearts and still be inspired to create and to live a joyful, expansive life without the need for the contrasting karma and duality. That heaven or the other world is knowing that duality exists, but also absolving, being rid of it. And that practices like quantum healing or hypnotherapy, even Reiki, allow a person to rebalance with their true nature and let go of that magnetized cycle that they're having difficulty moving through. By being able to observe secondarily or even beyond, a person can appreciate greater aspects of their own soul's wisdom than are as accessible in their limited conscious state.
Ask her how we can do a step-by-step, if she can give us a step-by-step approach to connecting with her more fully.
She says there are rituals and rites that have been practiced in the past to call forth Ma'at, incantations, certain incense, Egyptian musks, and that which associates in her domain. She says the easiest way is to call forth the scales to one's heart. Either visualize, imagine, pretend that there's a golden set of scales that tip a person's heart and will, and when they are in balance, they can see it and feel that balance. But when the heart is swayed and heavy by negative things, it will raise the feather up. And when the feather is heavier, meaning that the goodness that exists around in abundance, then the heart will be uplifted. She says that the way to connect to her is to see the balance, that both are needed, and though neither is better than the other, the scales themselves are her symbol. And to see them within your heart will connect you with her more and more.
Thank you. And then, son, ask her what gifts you should be working to strengthen for your work here on Earth.
Sense of self-determination and volition. So much of what we are consciously is an amalgam of what we've been taught and told and made to believe through repetition or trauma. And that when we quiet ourselves and listen, using that technique even to balance the scales before the heart, we give ourselves such information to work with. And that she had mentioned the divinatory practices, of course, as a spiritual note, but just in terms of as a soul experiencing, is to know thyself as Christ and the Father. You're both the child, here to explore and create, but also the creator. And the more we can take that responsibility, the more power we have access to.
Thank you. Now, ask her, since a lot of the ancient knowledge has been lost and there's a lot of misinformation, would this be a good method to uncover that knowledge so we can begin working with these?
Some of that information was lost because it was no longer pertinent. That the way these things have come about is so that the new leading edge can express fully without the limitations of the previous paradigms. And that much of that information continues to be uncovered as it's necessary, but that the real source of information is the living spirit. And that through these practices of deep meditation or channeling, energy working, the cosmos, cosmic energy being called down and cycled, new information will come through, new insights and awareness that are unique to the current culture, current life streams that are here. It won't have to be what was, but it will be what is. And that there may be insights to be gained in what was, but there's a reason why it no longer is that which is. And she says all that is needed is already here.
Thank you. Ask her about the accurate knowledge of the Christ and the Father, because we're confused about that.
She says the trouble with bringing forth information from the past is that it can be distorted and manipulated. That people don't quite know, they're a little confused, they don't have a direct experience with things like the concept of the Christ in this current lifetime, so they look to old images of it. But these older images have so many associations, so many connections and descriptions that go beyond the source of the information. It's the biggest game of telephone. And she says that for one to have accurate knowledge, one must recognize themselves as that which is created by creative forces, whether God on high or even lesser forms of it that just created. But because the nature of creation was instilled, therefore there is the ability to access the concept of creator, greater and greater aspects of God or the Father. And the accurate knowledge is for oneself what it is to be both that which is manifest and that which manifests. Not that one was created and thus is limited, but because one was created, they have access to creation, the idea of it, the power of it. And then through that access, not limited to Christ as Jesus or Zeus or Dionysus or Gilgamesh or any of these forms that the Christ has taken, but truly just the energy that is the Christ. By recognizing that creative force, one connects truly to the Father, or the ultimate that is. Anytime someone goes through another channel of spirit, it's limited. Even as I speak with her, she says that this form is not the fullness of what she is. This is my ability to receive what she is. And that others will have their own insights and unique interpretations of the relationship. So the accurate knowledge is for oneself alone, but not isolated.
Thank you. I want you to also ask her the best way that you can utilize your emotional systems of vibrational inclination.
Says practice makes perfect. She says being aware as often as possible. And humaning is moving through various hypnotic, dreamlike states. And the more you can bring full awareness to each segment of those dreamlike states, how one's feeling, what is one done or thought about to elicit these feelings. And through the articulating those sensations of feeling, one can start to manipulate their internal reality, which ultimately affects everything. She says practice pushing on emotions. When something feels good, lean into it, make it feel even more so. When something feels bad, do one's best to recognize what about it. Isolate or encapsulate the sensation that is negative so that one can maneuver around it more effectively rather than just errant feelings and actions happening in tandem.
Very good. So, and also ask her how does the way you feel affect others? Is there a greater significance to um, how you're feeling and whether it really affects other people around you?
She says that it's a bit of an illusion, this notion of this and that she represents on higher planes, the twist of things more than that there's a separation. And she says the same applies to interacting with others, that we can't change or truly affect other people beyond what they allow themselves to be affected by. And so, even though our moods and emotions have the ability to impact, depends on what another person is open to or choosing to pay attention to. And that the more we output certain feelings, vibrations, the people who are like to that will be attracted and resonate with those similar feelings. That there really isn't so much the idea of individuality that's oversold, but so is the notion of a hive or a collective, that we exist somewhere more in between. And though we can influence each other, it's only because we've already been influenced.
Thank you. And then the last question we want to ask is how can you attract wholesome, intimate friendships and relationships into your life?
She kind of laughs. She says, I have more than I know what to do with. And that I just have to take the time in this chapter of life to cultivate them. That all the seeds are sown, all the places, pieces are in place. It's just a matter of actually choosing to play the game with them, to make it a effort or a, it's my own words. She says it doesn't take so much effort, it takes sincerity, to sincerely appreciate and lean into the relationships that are already available, rather than thinking that some magical one will appear and be this perfect, intimate engagement. She says, no, you've already set it up, you just got to actually work with it.
Mm.
So less
Very
seeking
good.
and cultivating.
I want you to thank her for joining us here on your session today, and it was an honor to have her here. And in a moment, son, we will enter the temple of wisdom in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now. And I want you to describe what you're seeing.
There was a long stairwell that went deep underground. Initially, there were torches that guided. After a while, the torches became more and more sparse until it was just dark, moving continually down. Eventually, a light appeared, still downward, but unlike a glowing bright light, it was a warm, soft glow. And I enter into it seems to be a very large underground chamber where 4 pillars stand, with kind of orangish, almost greenish flames flickering on each of the pillars. They don't illuminate enough of the space to show all of this room or cavern, but they illuminate enough space for me to stand amidst the 4 pillars. And I can vaguely make out what look like a rim of chairs above, like if there was a second floor to this area, almost in the periphery, all of these different chairs, like where people would sit, large people. Those chairs were huge. There seems to be a few forms in a few of the frontmost chairs, like directly across from where I'm standing. but the rest kind of empty. Seems to be 11, maybe 12 chairs, large stone.
Hmm.
But it's hard to make out details as the light only flickers on them every once in a while.
Okay. Now let me know when a guide shows up. We want the guide for the Temple of Wisdom, and let me know when he shows up.
There's a mote of greenish light that seems sentient and guiding there, and it doesn't quite speak, but it reverberates with knowing and awareness.
I want you to let the guardian know that you're there to ask for healing, and ask him, is he willing to assist you with your healing today?
Yes, they seem apropos to the request.
Ask him to scan your body and see if there are any health issues that need to be healed.
It says that my mind is overstuffed. There's this feeling of too many ideas and thoughts that are not to the purpose of this lifetime, to the spiritual expansion. Lots of things just filling space. And the heart is a little congested. There's more energy that could flow through to all the extremities and organs, both on a physical, literal level as well as on an energetic. And the groin, navel area, that not enough energy is being stored and cultivated. Too much of it is distorted, getting caught up in the corners and nooks of poor digestion, errant focus.
Thank you. And ask him if he can heal those things that he mentioned with your heart, your mind, and the groin area as well. And balance all of that out.
They are capable of such.
Also ask him if he can also balance your chakras and meridians and any energetic systems that need to be strengthened and rejuvenated. And ask him if I can ask a question while they're working on your healing.
Yes. You're welcome to.
Okay. So Sun wants to know what best helps rejuvenate and restore his body. What can he do?
Consistent time in the sunshine with an intention of absorbing the spiritual and physiologically beneficial rays. The exercise is important of moving the physical body, but really it's more so about taking the conscientious time to be in body, that the conscious attention to the physical body helps to heal and direct the energies in a wholesome way when positive thoughts of well-being are had. But there's an importance to how a person feels about their own image and how the energy flows through the body. People who work out regularly and take care to eating well, of course, those things are a benefit, but the real benefit is the psycho-emotional association with being healthy and feeling good. If they felt good about sitting on the couch all day, then that would serve them well as well. But somewhere the need for doing and focus, activity, helps the body and mind synchronize. And in that synchronization, true healing, restoration, and empowerment happens. If only the mind is active, it grows tired and the body grows lazy and heavy. If only the body is active, the mind grows dull and unable to imagine or create new. Exercise, reading, creative thinking, art, all these things stimulate that mind-body response.
So overthinking and filling the mind too much would be detrimental to the body if you're not balancing it out. Is that what you're saying?
Begins to wear and disrupt the channels of energy, the subtle waves of energy that each of the cells receive physiologically come from thought and focus. People could give themselves cancer by watching negative mediation because the body is needing both. It needs the positive, the states of well-being and association, as well as those down times, the quiet, the still. If one is more than the other, it creates distortion that eventually leads to self-destruction. The mind has to be exercised. The body has to be exercised. How one goes about that is up to them, but this body could use more of that synchronization.
Okay. Can you tell us what the root cause of Sun having piles and issues with his digestive irritations?
Long, deep-seated events of younger life, childhood, and relationship with mother and father, that though consciously the identity that Sun carries is not impacted, overtly the subtle knowledge of uncertainty, of lack of security or well-being has been instilled on a deep level, on a level that has been repressed by the current identity enough so as to operate as that given identity, because to acknowledge or engage those places wouldn't allow for the current ego form to exist as it does. Though, to grow beyond even what this current ego expression entails is to reintegrate and move beyond those places of holding on to things. It's putting some gum behind your ear and forgetting about it. And when you touch your ear wondering why it's so sticky, you haven't forgot about the gum. Sometimes he forgets that there are some sticky things from the past that are impeding the process. Yet, not that they have to be delved into so much as appropriately cleaned up and allowed to flow.
Would you say this session has assisted him with removing some of those things from the past, or is there something you can assist him with?
It's an ongoing process. This session is assisting. This time taken doesn't always go as deep as practicing for this amount of time allows, but it is an ongoing process. things are being let go of, and essentially for the building of security and a sense of worth inherently. This cannot be done so quickly. It can't all be shaken up. The ego identity is sufficient enough for the work to be done, even though there's places of growth that must happen. To force that growth or to force that removal of things that don't serve before the time is right could lead to further detriment, further upset. So sessions like this that allow for an ease of adjustment or an abstraction of the associative imagery or concepts allows for an expediting of that healing and transformation process.
Well, thank you so much. Can you let us know when you're done with the healing of his body and mind and even spirit level?
We are complete.
And son, I want you to thank the guy for assisting you with your healing. It's been an honor for him being here and helping you in this way today. And in a moment, son, we will be at the Library of Learning in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now. And let me know when the guide from this Library of Learning is there.
Yes, the breath.
Thank you. Now, tell them you have a list of questions you had that want to ask, and would he be willing to assist you with your knowledge of these?
They would be willing to assist.
Son wants to know which magic spells and rituals and incantations that he can be using in his daily life now. Can you provide him with that knowledge or downloads, or even what he can be doing in his life to be using these things?
Currently, all of the varied incantations are separated in books and writings and saved files on computers and phones. And they're too separated. They're too everywhere. They need to be focused. Anything would work. Any affirmations of more potent forms that are involved, more beneficial. Calling in spirits and gods to facilitate, or even state entities created by a host would allow for facilitation, but consistency and regularity to have impression. So picking 3 or 4 affirmations, incantations that could be regularly recited after meditation or throughout the day, picking no more than 6 entities to work with at a time, including deities and spirits. Not to say that these couldn't shift from day to day, but mostly that more than that, it becomes a bit of a who's who of what energies are influencing. In terms of spell work, there's already spells that are lined up that just need to be implemented. Enjoying the process of planning those out further and setting up the necessary implements. All the pieces are there. It's just a matter of organizing them so you actually get an image from the puzzle.
Thank you. Now, son is a hypnotherapist. He's a Reiki master. He works with energy. Is there anything you can assist him with in improving his skills?
He needs to take more time to experiment with himself, do his own lab times. The techniques and delivery are fine, but again, the leading edge isn't just exploring what other people have done with it. It's about taking these concepts and pushing the boundaries with Reiki. What all can Reiki be used for? Everything, anything. And what does it offer or confer to that everything once it's applied? Applying it to a phone when sending a message, applying it to food, applying it to the pillow so when you sleep it's charged up. All of these things have an intentional impact on reality. Hypnotherapy, designing scripts not for the sake of clients or at the behest of some external force, but truly that which would help him to delve deeper into his own conscious states, into his own awarenesses. He has this habit of deferring to other authorities, reading books or taking the insight of someone who's done it to some degree already as the absolute, rather than allowing himself to explore those same possibilities from his own vantage. Hypnotherapy needs more clients, and he'll get clients by working on himself, by taking the time to figure out what exactly it looks like to see those changes. And when he has deemed them for himself and on what capacity, he'll find others who seek that similar capacity. The current clients are limited in their scope and desire because he's been limited in his. I'll put you under and let you experience your confidence and your growth and your healing. But people want so much more than that. They just don't know what that is. So as he explores ways to find what that is, others will happily seek his services.
Wow, thank you so much. Is there any way for you to activate and amplify his gifts that he has now?
He doesn't require further activation or amplification. He simply needs to work with what he is already, utilize the talents and skills of language, hypnotherapy, mode and method of delivery. He has a whole cadre of spirits, living and non-living, who are willing to assist. He just simply needs to take time out to it. And somewhere he thinks it work and difficult, and there's a degree of procrastination, but that will melt more and more as it doesn't require much time at all. It doesn't require hours and hours, though it will become hours and hours of practice just via the enjoyment of it. It just needs to start with a little bit, 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, a positive thought towards the idea of spell workings and manifestings. All of these things lend to the perpetuation of the skills and abilities that have already been acquired and developed. Don't have to reinvent the wheel, you just have to put it on the cart to get moving.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much. I thank you for that. And son, I want you to thank the guide for assisting you and for the knowledge he's given us today. It's been an honor. And in a moment, we will be in front of your console. We'll greet and meet your console in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, now. And son, I want you to describe your console. How many beings are there?
6 beings.
And can you tell me their names?
Yes, there's Lux, which is a somewhat angelic-like being, almost like a version of myself, but with many wings and a more androgynous body made of light. It's called Pimp. It's the Purple Monkey Prince. It's like a little childlike version of myself, but wearing a full body ape suit, pink and black ape suit with a little cape and crown. And next to him is a larger ape form, somewhat humanoid, named Manohan. And this
Say the
being
name again.
Manohan.
Thank you.
There's a chair empty in the middle with just a symbol emblazoned on it. And on either side are the three and the three. The Pimp
Okay,
and
a symbol.
were on one side. And on the other side were Lux and a hooded figure wearing a short-sleeved, sleeveless cloak and a hood. Her name was Balthazar.
Is there another one? Let's see.
And final seems to be like a placeholder. I see many different forms. It's almost like a faceless being that represents legions and multitudes of other spirits. In fact, that's what they would call themselves, as Legion. And they sit in representation of many lesser spirits and daemons.
And I want you to ask your council members where they are from.
Most of them are from places in my own spiritual progression. The Pimp is the inner child state, the power and imagination, infinite possibility. Manohan is a warrior and devotee who serves the little Pimp and the others of the council to offer the strength and willpower needed to see things through. Lux comes from sort of progenitive heaven-like state, as they have fallen from that place of pure grace and lightedness into a more physically oriented experience. Balthazar is basically a devil. It's a being who is made of this physical reality and will do what it needs to meet its goals and purpose of expansion and growth. The empty throne, the symbol throne, is the Father, the state of creation that I currently only know in consideration, and the seat is to remain empty. And Legion comes from everywhere. It's the elements, heaven, the underworld. It's all the spirits that are not directly accounted for on the council that may seek representation.
Thank
They come
you.
from the cosmos and beyond.
I want you to ask the council if you're meeting your purpose in this lifetime and why or why not.
They find the question curious in that the purpose is self-appointed. And so, on the higher realms of purpose or potential, it's just that it's possibilities. Each of them says in one way or another that they have their own purposes that they want to see me achieve or explore, and that almost all of them are ongoing processes that, even up until the croaking point, there's no way to say if the purpose is met until it is decided that it has been met. Yes, I'm doing.
Okay. I want you to ask if what your current situation is trying to tell you about yourself and the environment that you are currently in.
Current physical environment is meant to add more energy, more of a sense of urgency to the doings. That as a spiritual catalyst, that fire, that kundalini heat is needed to transmute impurities, to change things, and that change can be uncomfortable. The little monkey says that it's fun to explore new places and to see who we become in those new places. The warrior sees it as a test of ability to strengthen oneself and what a different locale offers in terms of strength trainings. Balthazar sees it as a place of unique manipulations and business opportunities. Lux sees this as a place of stronger contrast, as a greater potential for this and that. And that darn empty throne just kind of sits with the energy of deep complacency and just like love, unconditional love. It's like you are where you are. That's nice. And it's nice to be here with you.
And can
Legion
you
does-
ask why you? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Legion doesn't really have to the idea of Legion. It's all the cosmos. Where we find ourselves in the cosmos is relevant to our current thought focuses, our intentions, momentums, ideas of reality. They say there's so many possibilities and potentials that the place we find ourselves in is one amongst many. As soon as we're ready for a shift, it'll shift to.
Okay. I want you to ask them why they led you to Arizona, and what do you hope? What will you gain from being there?
There are various ley lines of very key energy spiritually that push people to their extremes in this place. That not only is the temperature extreme, but the contrasts are extreme. There's everything from rich abundance, greenery, even in the most desertous of places, and destitution, lack. But it's all a matter of choice of where one focuses. Do you see a desert empty and devoid, or do you see a place where, even amongst its arid nature, prosperity can be found? There's a lot of opportunity physically, psychologically, spiritually here. I know that this isn't a place of long dwelling. It will give key insights and lessons into the conscious experience of contracts and beyond.
Can you give them the pros and cons of moving to a new location? And if so, what is the best location for him?
Now that the strong contrasts of this place are known better and felt more directly, there will be a shift in locale that is more agreeable to the spiritual nature without needing to be so volatile. What initially drew to this place was Sedona and its vortices, which are high vibrational wells with the ley lines that exist all through this land. But some of the vortices here in this valley are being utilized for negative, whether purposefully or inadvertently, for negative perpetuations. And so there are places close in this valley that are not so impacted by those distorted values and awarenesses that can lend to, though still a challenging or possibly trying at times experience, a more amenable one. Glendale comes to mind again and again.
And where, Glendale, Arizona, or a different state?
There's more work to be done here in this state. But the city, Phoenix, is for death and rebirth, and the rebirth has already begun.
Very good. What are some of the best attributes, Sun's attributes that will help him make his career a success?
Tact, of communication, of recognizing the ability to manipulate without infringing on another's will, the affinity for ease and flow of thoughts in regards to philosophical and spiritual inclinations. Where he will succeed most effectively is to create content, recording these ideas, thoughts, and considerations, and get like-minded individuals to share and reflect in turn. By putting out his musing, ideas, and practices in a controlled fashion, there's the potential of whole realms of connection previously unprecedented for him personally. Podcast for the win.
And is there any encouraging words or advice or wisdom that you would like to give him today?
You miss 100% of the shots you don't make.
Thank you so much. It's been an honor and a pleasure for you meeting with us here today. Thank you. And so now we will meet, or we were going to go to the Akashic Records, and we will be there in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, now. Let me know when that book of records fall and appear before you. This is the book that holds all the records of your lifetimes, the one you live in now, all of the other experiences from your soul. Let me know when it's there.
Yes.
There's going to be a page that has all of your life experiences on there. That's your soul's personal page. You'll see a current picture of yourself on that page. It'll have your name, your date of birth, and all of those things. I want you to call out how many lifetimes we've had together.
7.
And what was our relationship in those 7 lifetimes?
We've worked together in varied ways, sometimes towards spiritual ends, times scientific achievements, considerations, and others just in the same community, doing our best to thrive and uphold our values. Some overlap between those.
Thank you. And then I want you to look at the lifetimes you've had with your current partner. How many have you had with her?
42.
42. And out of those 42, how many did you get right?
Oh, good majority of them. We picked very, very cleverly of how to get what we needed from each other in each of them. So I'd say 38.
Okay. 38. Okay.
Just a few went
Very
wrong.
good. And how many times have you lived on Earth?
How many lifetimes on this race?
Yes. How many lifetimes have you lived on Earth?
So many, thousands. More than I can.
Do you see?
Makes me feel so old.
Okay.
So
Do you see the numbers? Can you go by each digit?
I mean, it's just
Digits of 3?
exponential. Yeah, it's hundreds of thousands of lifetimes of beyond time, though, not just in a line. It jumps and shifts and alters, and as I explore further potentials of what is even possible in history, more lifetimes appear.
Okay. Well, I want you to look at your family members. How many lifetimes have you had with your mother?
12.
12. And then your father?
Some like several more. We've had tens, maybe not quite 100, but tens of lifetimes.
Okay. Very good. And now I'm going to give you a chance to get a snapshot of your future life. When you think about if you what it could be like if you follow the suggestions you were given today, and with the measure of healing you've received, and there's going to be a screen that falls down before you, and I'll give you a minute to view in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 now. And just let me know what you're seeing on the screen.
See flashes of different aspects of my life, of sharing and connecting with others, meeting to discuss plans and articulations of project ideas, working with not just individual clients, but whole rooms full of people, holding seminars, see myself on stage, but not alone, with others, where we talk and engage ideas and hold workshops where obviously hundreds of people can't so easily all be engaged, but in the workshops we get to meet many of those people and see the impacts that our work or studies are doing, offering to their lives. there's cross-sectionality with post-humanistic concepts to create a spiritually, emotionally, and physiologically fulfilling, wholesome life. I see myself on boards of, I guess, directors and facilitators towards creating educational institutions of spiritual practice, as well as coalitions for better development of human experience. I see living somewhere calm, quiet, not so intercity, but near enough that the work to be done is accessible with my beautiful partners and family. See pets and laughter, feel grass between my toes, and I can look in the mirror and see myself dressed to the nines for business events and my own parties. And somewhere the line blurs between those, business and fun. I am excited to wake up and go about my work and to see my family, play and the learning and the practices shared with such a wonderful community. See varied faces smiling, focused, giving their own lectures and presentations and talking side by side to better understand how to help others, uplift the human spirit.
Very good. That's exciting. Very, very good. Now, I am asking the subconscious to recede to where it belongs with much love and much thanks for the help and information it's been giving Sun today. I know is really going to appreciate it himself. And I want the other entities or from the other lives that we were speaking to today to recede into the past, to the life where time that they belong in, with much love and much thanks for the information they have given us. And remember, the things that you were watching from the past, they belong in the past, and we will leave them in the past. We only brought them forward as a curiosity to learn from, for the information to help with your present lifetime. And in that way, they are a valuable tool to have, importance. But as Sun listens to the recordings and goes over the material and puts it into place, it will not bother him in any way, mentally or physically. And we thank you, subconscious, for bringing those forward for him today. And now, Sun, I'm going to give you a healing meditation before we end our session today. And I want you to begin to visualize, pretend, or imagine a beautiful silver crystalline river, like a river of silver and crystals, whether that's quartz, amethyst. It sparkles, it shines, and it's very, very beautiful. Can you get the sense of it?
Yes.
Do you have that image?
Yes.
Very good. Now I want you to see this beautiful crystalline river as it enters through the top of your crown chakra. It's going to flow down through the chakras from the top, healing, balancing, and activating the crown. Now we're going to have it move down through the chakras in the body. And as it moves down through the chakras, the river of energy will expand out into all of the cells. It moves down through the crown, down to the third eye chakra, becoming silver like the river and sending healing energy throughout the head area as it enters the cerebellum, the corpus callosum, the thalamus, the cerebellum, hippocampus, the amygdala, the olfactory bulb, frontal lobe, temporal lobe, and the third eye. And that third eye resembles a pine cone. Can you see that pine cone shape in the third eye? And every cell in this area of your head and the brain is being filled with that beautiful crystalline river. And it moves down the spinal cord and down through the throat chakra, sending out healing energy to every cell in the throat chakra area. This beautiful river enters the oral cavity of the larynx, the vocal fold, esophagus, trachea. Can you feel this energy? It's beautiful and peaceful. And you know it's healing as it moves through the body. Now it's moving down to the heart chakra and sending energy to all the cells of that part of the body. The right and the left atrium, the right and the left coronary arteries, the great cardiac vein, the right and left ventricles, the aorta and apex. All of the cells within this part of the body is healing. The body has all of the energy that it needs to remain balanced and in harmony. And you can feel that energy. It's beautiful and peaceful. You can feel that energy as it moves through the body. The healing energy of this beautiful crystalline river is moving to the solar plexus chakra and sending healing energy all throughout that cells in that part of the body. The stomach, the small intestine, the large intestine, the liver, gallbladder, spleen, and bile duct. The healing river of energy is moving down to the sacral chakra and sending healing energy to all of the cells in that part of the body. Now the healing energy is moving down to the root chakra, and it's sending healing energy to all the cells in that part of the body. The pancreas, the groin area, and all the areas in this part of the body. You can feel that healing energy moving through all of the cells of the body. It's beautiful, it's peaceful, and it has dynamic power. It heals everywhere that it touches. It's moving and flowing all throughout this part of the body. And anything that the body does not need is passed off through the legs and the feet. It's passed off to the world as excess energy that anyone can use. Now the body is in complete balance and harmony. Repeat after me. I have a good body.
I have a good body.
I have a strong body.
I have a strong body.
I have a healthy body.
I have a healthy body.
And my body is functioning in complete balance and harmony.
And my body is functioning in complete balance and harmony.
Functioning absolutely perfectly.
Functioning absolutely perfectly.
And this is the way it is.
This is the way it is.
And this is the way it shall be.
This is the way it shall be.
And so it is. Very good, son. You've done great. Your subconscious mind has given you a lot of things to consider, and you've done a lot of healing today. Now, I'm going to bring you up and out of hypnosis in 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Eyes open, wide awake. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Eyes open, wide awake.
What are you doing here, cat? What are you doing on my chest? He's like, oh,
He
you're
came to
blind.
help with the session.
He did. He often does. When I'm in meditation, he's like, you're going places, were you? I'm going with you.
So tell us about your session. This is Son Ryan Crucial. He is
Sure enough.
also certified clinical hypnotherapist and a Reiki master and teacher. And
That I am, Renee.
tell us why you wanted tell us why you wanted to do this session today.
Oh, I love exploring consciousness. I think there's really something to, and this is for everyone who's practiced meditation or has learned self-hypnosis techniques, there's a greater degree of depth that we can explore when we work with practitioners or we are facilitated in our trance work or our hypnotherapeutics. So I appreciated the opportunity to, especially QHHT trained as Renee is. It's a wonderful technique that does allow you to go deep and still keep conscious. Like, you're not necessarily fully conscious, but you're not unconscious. You're not going so deep. I find that in my own work at times there is a balance of going too deep, and you can get some of those messages and those connections, but to do all of those in a few hours would probably take me a couple days, because I'd have to go down and come back up and then take some time and then go down and come back up. So beyond my personal reasons of that, going through the session will have gotten some of the answering of deep-seated questions. It's just a beautiful way to access a deeper state of consciousness, of spirituality through that facilitation. So highly recommend it. And even if a person's not looking to go so deep as talking to their subconscious or the spirits or beings or even past lives, even just hypnotherapeutics allows a person to move deep enough that they can bypass some of the challenges or the, as I think was mentioned in my session, the trauma cycles that people get stuck in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love doing these because it helps people get a new start. So it's not the be all end all, but it's a start to a new way of being and to redirect your life in the way that you want to from this point on. So I really love that. And it was really a good session. I really appreciated it. And we'll invite you back with our panel of all of the people who've had the quantum healing sessions. And I look forward to talking to you then, son.
I most definitely do the same. And I will review and hopefully we'll gain